Welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. I'm at the beach again in this one. Another beach in Bali. And in this one, we're going to be talking about what seems to be quite a popular topic on here. How you know the narcissist is damaged. How you know they're damaged goods. Because there are signs to look for. There are things that you need to be aware of to know that the narcissist is damaged. And I would say that all narcissists are going to be damaged. But then there are certain stages where something actively damages them. And then they are not in a resting state, they're more in an active response to the thing that has caused them damage. Something that you may be unaware of. You may not have known that you have said or done something wrong, but they sure feel that you did. And they are deeply affected by it because, as we know, narcissists are grandiose. They're hypersensitive to criticism, and that's why you feel like you're always walking on eggshells around them. You're very careful not to offend or upset them, because any little thing could set them off. And that's why it's important for you to be aware of these signs, so that you could be 2 steps ahead of it and try to prevent yourself from getting into more trouble with the narcissist by being aware of these signs. Now, you're going to know if a person is damaged, narcissist or not. If you see this sign, if you see them disregarding you, overlooking you, the wonderful person that you are. And it's not that you were just born a wonderful person and now you deserve regard, you deserve respect for no reason. I'm not saying that at all. That is narcissism. What I'm talking about is you're someone who's done the work. So maybe you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a business owner, and the narcissist just treats it like it's nothing. You may be a very important person when you're at work. Kind of like Johnny Depp or Will Smith. They're these Hollywood A-listers, but then when they went home, they were just treated like they're nothing, like they're nobody. That's exactly what it's like when you're dealing with a damaged narcissist. They will walk around your house that you paid for like you own it. And they will disrespect your things, damage your property, treat your car like it's theirs. Maybe you might be kind enough to let them drive your car, and then you discover they've been doing donuts in it. That's definitely a sign that a person is damaged, because healthy people, empathic people like ourselves, we are very careful with other people's things, with other people's possessions. And we are very respectful of the positions that other people hold in this world. Especially if they are a doctor or a lawyer. And a credible one as well, not one that's corrupt. Someone who plays by the rules. Someone who is in a respectful position. Of course, we respect those people. And they may be good role models for us. Maybe we can learn a lot from them. But the narcissist isn't going to learn a lot from you. They're not going to learn anything from you. All they're going to learn is your weaknesses and how to exploit you, because they want to have power over you. And that's another sign that they are damaged. They're seeking power. That's what damaged people do. They can't treat you as their equal. They have to look at you with an air of superiority because deep down they actually feel very insecure in your presence. Another sign that narcissists are damaged is that they have this duplicity. So it's like they might act nice and friendly to you. They might act like you're on good terms, but you know that they're wearing a mask. And they have been wearing a mask for a very long time. In their childhood, they split off from their true self. They created this fictitious character to garner admiration, to get their narcissistic supply because they felt like who they really are was not good enough. And now, they change masks more often than you change clothes. From one situation to the next, from one person to the next, they're a different person in every situation. They're a different person when they're at home, when they're around you. A different person when they're at work. A different person when they're around their secondary source. If they have one. They're just a different person all the time. They've got all of these different masks, all of these different personalities, but none of them are real. And that's why you see this duplicity. You see that they're two-faced. And it's because something hurt them. Something made them self-conscious. Now think about that for a moment. What does self-conscious mean? It means it made them conscious of themselves. And they didn't want to be conscious of themselves, so they wore a mask. They created a fictitious self, a protective self, because they're very afraid or because they feel shame. And that's how you know that a person is damaged. That's how you know that you cannot trust someone. Because if they can just switch a mask that easily and quickly, you don't know who you're dealing with. Yes, they may act nice and friendly to you, but then in any moment, whoop, another mask comes on, and then they're lying to you, they're cheating on you, they're stealing from you. And they don't feel like they should have to be held accountable for any of that because they were wearing a mask at the time, so they were detached from it. Which means that they don't have to be accountable. They don't have to face the consequences for their actions, for their behavior, because they were wearing a mask that wasn't really them. But whatever they did to you, it felt like it was them. It felt like they did something to you. Whatever it was that they did. They're damaged because they're hurt. They were affected by something. And that's not to say that we don't all get hurt sometimes. It's not to say that we don't all get affected in a negative way. We do, but we deal with it in the right way. We deal with it in a mature and responsible way because we have the internal strength inside. But they don't. What they do is they put on a mask. And then they're interacting with different people with different masks. And they are constructing these false realities, these fake worlds, which have no basis in reality. But they make it that way. You will know when a narcissist is damaged because they will try to damage you. That's what they want more than anything else. Because they're hurt, they're broken. And of course, they feel dirty, foul, disgusting inside. They know that they're wicked and immoral. They know that they've done horrific things. So now when they're damaged, they want to corrupt you. They want to immoralize you, deprive you. But I know many of you that I'm talking to right now, you are pure, innocent empaths. And let's just speak about that for a moment. Let's talk about the contrast between a damaged narcissist and a pure, innocent empath. We treat everyone as our equal. Doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if it's a CEO or if it's a janitor, a cleaner. We treat them all the same. We still show respect for them. Narcissists don't. They might suck up to the CEO, try and get on their good side to exploit something from them. But how they treat the janitor? With contempt. And why? Because they can't do anything for them. Yes, that's how damaged narcissists act. And another thing that we empaths do is that we don't wear masks. In any moment, we are always trying to be our most authentic selves. Narcissists don't care about that. They don't mind being fake. They like it. They feel like that gives them the advantage. They like lying. They're pathological liars. They don't care if everything's fake. They don't care if everything's a lie. As long as they can get people to believe in it so that it makes it more believable for themselves. But yeah, they will hurt you because they feel hurt. However they feel, they will try and project that back onto you. If they feel envious or jealous of you, they'll try and make you feel envious or jealous. They'll try and provoke those emotions in you. And typically they will do that by triangulating you with another person, comparing you to them, or by going off with their new supply and acting like they're having such a great time without you, as though that new supply is so much better than you. Does that sound like something a normal, healthy person would do? Of course not. They would never do that. But that's exactly what a damaged narcissist would do. Because they're hurt, they're damaged. So now they want to damage you. They want to damage your self-image. They want to damage your trust and confidence in yourself. They want to damage your self-esteem. Because that's exactly how it is for them. That's exactly how they feel. And that's why you need to pay attention to these signs. You need to recognize how they are acting around you to see what type of state they are in. And also, use the grey rock. Don't battle it out with a narcissist. Don't get in the mud. Don't play dirty. Don't behave the way that they do. Because that will just affect you. You're not meant to be there. You're not meant to be in the mud. You're not meant to be dirty like they are. They like that. They like wrestling. They like fighting with you. They like manipulating, exploiting you. Because that's their arena, that's their realm. And you will never win in that. Because of course, damaged people with no self, they are master manipulators. You can't compete with that. You're never going to win. You're never going to out-manipulate the narcissist. And typically when they move on to this new supply, who's likely to be a grandiose narcissist, because remember, they put you down, they made you feel small, they made you feel like someone else was more wealthier, successful, attractive, whatever it is. So typically that's what they end up with, is a grandiose narcissist. Doesn't mean that that person is more wealthier, attractive or successful, but they've managed to manipulate the narcissist into thinking that way about them. And then typically when they go off of that person and they don't find the sense of fulfillment that they were looking for, then they come back to hoover you, or they try to make you jealous, they try to make you feel like you're missing out. These are all signs of a damaged person. A damaged person who's not satisfied with themselves. They can't generate happiness from within. And I can tell you that's what they're really envious of about us, is that we're satisfied with ourselves. We're satisfied with our minds, our bodies, and just our way of being, the way that we conduct and present ourselves, the way that we are. And that's why they go out of their way to try and destroy all of that. They go out of their way to corrupt and deprave you, to try and make you just like them. And that's why when they're devaluing you, they're constantly pushing and provoking you, trying to get a reaction out of you because it regulates their emotions, and they can't regulate it from within. And not only that, but also they want to paint you in a negative light. They want to make you look crazy to everyone. They want to make everyone think that you're the one who is damaged. And I will say that we do have to be very careful with certain people, because those who have experienced extreme abuse, extreme misfortune, extreme unfairness, their reactions and the way that they behave and how unstable they are, it may look similar to a narcissist. It may. That does happen sometimes, and that's how there are a lot of victims who question if they are the narcissist. And also, as we know, by the end of the relationship, most victims get discredited, sabotaged. They're victims of a smear campaign that the narcissist is running against them, making them look bad. Many victims of narcissistic abuse could end up homeless, in mental hospitals, in prison, suicidal. This is the reality of it. Because this is what damaged people do. They want to damage you. And no matter how strong you are inside, if you're around a narcissist long enough, they will push and provoke you until they get that reaction, until you snap. And then they got you. And they might just pull out their phone and record you as evidence, and then label you as the narcissist. And that's really their ultimate goal, is to destroy your innocence, to destroy your purity, your natural way of operating, being and functioning. Yes, that's what they want to destroy you. They want to destabilize you, because that's how they are. They can't regulate themselves. They can't stabilize themselves from within. And that's why they want to do that to you. And then they want to twist the narrative and make everyone think that it's you. You're the crazy one. And I gotta say, I've talked to so many clients of mine who have been victims of narcissistic abuse, spoken to a lawyer, several psychologists, psychiatrists, celebrities, business owners, very intelligent people who seem to be able to take the information in that I am given to them, and they listen to the advice, they take it on, and they understand then exactly what the narcissist is trying to do. Because the narcissist wants to twist the situation around on you. And sometimes you just got to look back and remember, what were your intentions? What were your motives? You didn't have any ill intentions. You weren't desiring to cause any harm to anyone. You were looking for a relationship, marriage, children, a future with someone. You weren't looking to harm anyone. But that's what they were trying to do with you. Yes, they went out of their way deliberately and intentionally to cause harm to you, to ruin your life. And for many of you, that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly what narcissists do. The victim is the one who's genuinely seeking a relationship. They are sincere. The narcissist is the one who is manipulating and exploiting. As I always say, the narcissist comes in with nothing, or practically nothing, and leaves with a lot more than what they came in with. The victim comes in with a lot and leaves with practically nothing. And even if the victim leaves with something, the narcissist will hoover them back to get the rest. And this is how we know the difference. This is how we know what we're dealing with. The narcissist wants to destroy you. The victim is the one who just wants things to be better. But then when they catch on and they realize what they're dealing with, that all they're ever going to get from a narcissist is manipulation, duplicity, insincerity. When the victim catches on to that, then they start making their exit plan. Then they want to leave. Because by that point, you know that things are never going to get better. Things are never going to change with them. They're always going to be that way. They're always going to be the damaged, corrupt narcissist that they are. That's what they're always going to be. And we are always going to be empaths, no matter what they do to us. No matter how much they try to damage us. And why? Because we have pure intentions. We're genuine, we're sincere. We weren't trying to gain power over them. We weren't trying to manipulate them. We weren't trying to do anything wrong. But that's what they were trying to do with us. And yet all the while, they acted like you were nobody, nothing. They acted like you were just a run-of-the-mill type of person. Just an average Joe. After all that work you put in to become the person that you are today. Maybe you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, a business owner, whatever it may be. And yet, look at how they treated you. They didn't treat you with the respect that you deserve. And it's not that just because someone is qualified, experienced, hardworking, ambitious, and successful. That doesn't mean that those are the requirements for a person to be deserving of respect. No, we respect everyone. Doesn't matter where they are in life. As long as they're not actively seeking to harm you, we do not respect those types of people. At least not in that moment. Maybe once they've been brought under control and the situation is understood, then we can start to get things back to normality. But in that moment where they are actively seeking to harm you, then of course, yes, you have to protect yourself. Just like if a tiger is about to attack you, you can't respect that tiger because it's going to pounce on you. It could kill you. Same thing with these narcissists. But then once it's under control, once it's no longer a threat to you, then you can start to give the respect that they deserve. which all human beings deserve, whether they're damaged or not. But as with you, the way they treated you, that was not right. That was very unfair. The way that they disregarded you, they acted like you're nobody, nothing. They do learn with time, though. Just give it time. They go off with a new supply and they will soon realize what they've gotten themselves into. Because typically, as I said, they run off into a master manipulator, a grandiose narcissist, because they put you down. They made you feel like you're nothing. So now they go off and they find someone who's more attractive, successful, wealthier. Whatever it is that they said that you're not. But then soon they realize the truth. They realize what they've gotten themselves into. Although they may still have to keep up the facade because they already labeled you as the bad person. And it's not going to look too good if they try to move on. And that situation isn't better as well. But that's how it goes. Narcissistic people, they never move on to a better situation. Things never get better for them. They just find someone who's more willing to go along with the illusion and the manipulation. Or they just find a better victim, a bigger fool. But either way, it's still fake. They couldn't pull that off with you though, because you weren't willing to go along with it. You didn't want to be fake. You didn't like being manipulated. And you just wanted to hold on to your authenticity. You just wanted to be yourself. You didn't want to be controlled. But with narcissists, because they're very insecure, because they have no self, that's why they're so controlling. That's why they want to have power over you. Because they don't have power over themselves. They don't have a self. People who have a strong sense of self, they're not controlling at all. They're more about freedom. But people who are very insecure, they tend to be more controlling. But yeah, all of these things that they do to try and hurt you, all of these ways that they try and upset you, it's because they're damaged. That's why. There is no other meaning, there is no other explanation. That's what it all comes down to. They're damaged, so now they want to damage you. And any time that you feel like you're confused, you don't understand what's going on, you don't understand what's happening, you don't understand why they're doing what they're doing to you, just always come back to that. Remember, hurt people, damage people, damage people. Not always, of course. Like with us, we take it in our stride. And that's because we do have a true self within. We have the internal strength to be able to regulate ourselves instead of having to lash out at them. It doesn't work that way for them because there's nothing inside of them. So they lack the internal strength to self-regulate. And by knowing that, you should know to stay far away from them, because they're like loose cannons. They're like a ticking time bomb. You never know when they're going to go off. You never know when they're going to attack you. You never know what they're going to do. They're unpredictable. because any little thing could set them off. It could be something where maybe you got a promotion at work, or maybe it's just something simple. Maybe you're just eating an ice cream. As we know, narcissists, they're always miserable. They can't get the same fulfillment from that. So then there they go, they're lashing out at you. Now they're going to ruin the moment, they're going to ruin the occasion. If it's your birthday, Christmas, whatever it is, they're going to ruin it all. Because they can't be happy, they can't get the same fulfillment from it. And that's just what they do. But that's how you know that they will never be happy. They'll never be happy with anyone or anything. They'll experience moments where they get a temporary relief from their pain. And that's only when people validate the grandiose false self. And that's the best that it gets for them. That is the best that it gets for them, and that's why the best that it gets for you from the narcissist is manipulation and illusion. It never gets any better than that, because that's all they got to give. But they can only give you that if you're willing to go along with it, if you're willing to validate this grandiose false self. And that's how you should know that when they leave you, all that happens is they run into a grandiose narcissist, a master manipulator, or sometimes it could be a covert narcissist, especially if they are a covert narcissist as well. There's many covert narcissists who are together in relationships. Or another possibility is that they might find a codependent, a bigger victim than you are, a bigger fool. And then they'll just stick with that for as long as they can, hoping that that person never wakes up. But honestly, you got nothing to worry about. You got nothing to be jealous of. You're not missing out on anything. What you think you're missing out on with this narcissist is all fake. So if they're gone, it's good. Good riddance. You should want these fake people out of your life, because they're not going to be any good to you. You're genuine, you're real, you're sincere. You need someone who's more like you. Someone who's on the same page. Because I can tell you, with a narcissist that operates with a false self, this duplicity, you're not going to get anything genuine from them. You're not going to build anything with them. All that they can do, because they split off and they're operating with a false character, they can only take from you, leech off you. Like a parasite, a bottom feeder, that's all they can do. Because they have no authenticity, they have a false character. So they can only drain you like an energy vampire. And that's how you should know when you see these signs. When you see someone disrespecting you, they're being insincere, they're being inauthentic, and they're undervaluing you, overlooking you, or they have this duplicity. When you see these things, these are all signs that you're dealing with someone who's not real. They lack the internal strength. They can't regulate their own emotions from within. They have to provoke you. They have to upset you. They have to do something to you, something harmful. You're never going to build anything with someone like that. It's never going to happen. It's never going to be that way. So what you're better off doing is taking all of that energy and just investing it back into yourself. Because it's like stocks and shares. You're investing your time, energy, effort, money and resources into something that has no value. Because our value comes from within, from holding on to ourselves. Yes, we may go through difficult things. Yes, people may try to hurt us. But no matter what, never let that go. Always hold on to who you are. The narcissist will abandon themselves in the face of pain because it's too difficult for them to deal with. They haven't got the internal strength to deal with it. And that's how it damages them. Because there's no barrier. There's no internal barrier, no internal shield that's blocking it, that's resisting it. The only thing they will resist is something good, something kind, loving, compassionate. They will resist that. Because in order for them to receive it, that has to go to the true self. And I have done research on it with different professionals, have different opinions on it. So it could be that there's an underdeveloped child self, or there may actually be nothing there at all. Or it could just be a predator, someone who exploits people, just this entity inside. It's difficult to say what exactly is in there. But from what I do know, it is nothing good. There's nothing good at their core. You know that what we have inside of ourselves, you know, when you're alone, you just get that sense of peace. Although I'm sure many of you may ruminate as well after what you've been through with a narcissist, of course, especially if you're trauma bonded to them. And that may weigh on your mind. But otherwise, you feel good inside. You have something there. You have something to reflect on. They don't have that. And I know that may be difficult to comprehend, but it's true. Narcissists do not have an inner being. They do not have a sense of self. They've got to get that externally. And it's not the case like with us, where if we've been deprived of love, empathy, and compassion, we may lose touch with ourselves as well, and that's completely normal. But then all we need is just a little bit of empathy, and then we can self-regulate. The narcissist is very entitled. No matter how much you give to them, it's never enough. There will never be enough for them to develop a sense of self, because there's no self there. And many of you may have experienced that, where it's like no matter how much of your time, energy, effort, money, or resources that you invested into them, it just didn't make a difference. It didn't make them better. It didn't make them change. The only thing that really makes them better, well, really it's just a temporary relief from their pain, is when they try to dysregulate you, destabilize you, confuse you, keep you off balance. It provides them with a sense of security and stability that otherwise they wouldn't have, because they cannot get it from within. They have nothing inside of them. They're not real people. And that's why when you're around them, there's no meaning, no substance, no depth. There's just nothing there. There's just nothing there. And that's why when you're around them, you feel so empty inside. Because you're giving your life force to them, but they've got nothing to give back to you. So you feel completely empty. You may feel depressed. And that's why it's so important, if you have a friend, if you have someone you can talk to, someone that you trust, someone who can feed back to you, validate you, understand you, then that can help you to to restore your emotional health. And many of you do that for me. When I get on here and I speak to you and I read your comments, you help me to get back in touch with myself. Because of course, when I'm around narcissists, they dysregulate me, they destabilize me. And it's always something where they try and project this idealized self onto me, or they discredit and destabilize me. It's either one or the other, black or white, one of the two extremes. But it's never about authenticity. Now that's what I'm really focused on. But that's just it. Who you actually are to them, that's fake. That's not even real. They discredit that, they smear your name. Even though you worked hard, you earned it. You worked hard to become the person that you are. And yet that's what they discredit about you. They act like you're disingenuous, like you're just trying to manipulate. And many of them, they're gaslighting themselves, so they just can't see the real you. We do have to be very careful when we're dealing with these narcissists, because they are master manipulators and they know how to switch it around and make it seem like you're the abuser. Or they'll try and convince you of that. They'll try to convince everyone of that, while painting themselves in a good light, as though there's nothing wrong with them despite everything they've done to you. So be aware of that. They construct these false realities and then they pull other people into it. But I can tell you that these narcissists, they will never be happy. They will never get a full experience of life because they're at such a low level of consciousness. They're barely even conscious. As many of you know, I got my cat, Nala. And I feel like she is far more conscious than any narcissist will ever be. My Nala is so loving and kind. She's such good company to be around. But these narcissists, you get around them and you just feel empty inside. They will pull you into a state of depression. They could even cause a personality disorder in you. That's how such a low level they are at. And that's how they're so dangerous to be around. And yet you may look and wonder how all of these other people are around them. They've got all of these friends, family members. But that's the thing, they're all just as fake as them. They don't acknowledge the truth. They lie, they manipulate. They may all be narcissistic. They may all have some form of personality disorder. And essentially it's the same thing. As I mentioned in past live videos, it's like at this job that I had before, when we would go to these houses and install household appliances, some of the homes, they had a really weird smell in them. And then I'd ask my co-worker, how can they not recognize the smell? And he said it's because they've lived there every day for years, so they got used to it. And it's the same thing with these narcissists. Are their family members or friends, they're used to that. They're familiar with it, they're accustomed to it. So they don't even notice it. We notice it because we're not like them. And that's another sign that a narcissist is damaged. It's that they don't notice when things are wrong. When things are wrong about themselves or the other people that they're around, they can't even see it. It becomes normalized to them. And that's what happens to us as well when we get around them, is that it becomes normalized to us, the abuse. But then once we leave and we look at it as an outsider, we can't believe that we went through all of that. Because that's just not normal to us. It's not normal for us to experience that, to be treated that way. And of course, we would never treat anyone else like that as well. But to them, that is normal. That's how you treat people. They actually think that that's okay, that it's justified. Because they're damaged people. I'm enjoying this deep talk with you while I'm sitting here at the beach. Quite a large mountain in the distance there. Those of you who follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I climbed up this mountain here in Indonesia called Mount Bromo. And I put some pictures up on my reel on Instagram. I do enjoy climbing mountains. But yeah, that's another sign, is that these narcissists will never accept about themselves that they are damaged. They just will not look at themselves in that way. In their minds, they are perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. There's no faults, no flaws. And that's just another sign that they are damaged, is that they don't accept that in themselves. And instead, what do? They pressurize you. They suffocate you. They try to squeeze the life out of you to destabilize you. Because then when they can project these traits onto you, when they can disown parts of themselves and assign them to you, it makes it that much easier for them to deny it in themselves. Well, as for us, we walk on eggshells around them. We do our best to not see anything wrong with them or with anything that they're doing. And the reason for that is because we're not damaged. That's why we overlook it. That's why we don't see it. That's why we continue to go back with them and we give them chance after chance, despite all of the things that they do to us. We do that because we're not damaged. And that's why we walk on eggshells around them and we don't want to see anything wrong with them. It's like we would rather that they shamed us than for us to be the cause of their shame, or of them reflecting on their shame. Because that's how it is when you're not a damaged person. It's that you will happily make yourself uncomfortable. You will happily walk on eggshells around someone to avoid setting them off. But they will never do that around you. They will push and provoke you. They will upset you. But that's how you know that you're dealing with a good person. A genuine person. Is that they're more focused on in a positive direction and how do we make things better. They're not trying to keep things down. They're not trying to provoke you. They're not trying to upset you. They're not trying to make you feel bad about yourself. Because they're just not on that frequency. They feel good about themselves most of the time. As within, so without. How a person treats you is a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves. The George says, sucks you can know someone for decades, but never know they are a narc until you get this information. Yeah, that's it. You don't see it because as empaths, we are more innocent, even naive. We lack the knowledge and experience, the wisdom. So we're not aware of it. We don't even see it because we're not operating on that frequency. So we don't see them initially, at least until we get this information. But also, even when we get this information, we need to be very careful how we handle it so that it doesn't damage us due to our exposure of it. Because essentially that's what happened to them. They were exposed to something harmful. And then it changed them. They were never the same after that. Maria Holmes says, yes, I think how they talk about and treat others is the biggest telltale sign to look for. Yes, it is. It's that duplicity. They're two-faced. They will talk about you behind your back to other people. But also they will talk about other people behind their backs to you. They do it to everyone. They will villainize anyone who goes against them. So they're never a true friend, they're never loyal. Even the new supply ends up being their next victim. They end up doing the same thing to them. And they've done it to people before you as well. While they act like they're so perfect, when actually they're worse than anyone else. They're definitely not in a position to be judging anyone. I'm actually sitting near the airport. See all the planes going out, and I will be catching my flight from here in about 3 weeks. But you know, it's so peaceful just sitting on this beach here. It's so relaxing, just seeing the waves. And feeling this breeze. It's not too hot here at this time of day. And the sun is just setting in the background. You can hear the birds singing. This is the best part of Bali for me. When no one else is there. When I'm on my own. Because as long as I'm around large groups of people, I don't feel good. I don't care who they are. And that's just how we are as empaths. We're very sensitive to other people's energy. By the end of the day, I feel completely drained. And it's always been that way. Even before all of the smear campaigns and gang stalking, it was always like that for me. It wasn't just that something suddenly changed. Since I was suddenly experiencing gang stalking and smear campaigns, it was like that my entire life. At the end of every day, I always felt exhausted. Up until today, I still do now. Other people just drain the life out of me. But what I also see is that from being around other people, I help to replenish them. And it's not always that it's narcissists, even some genuine people. Maybe they're just feeling down or they're having a bad day, and I make them feel better about themselves. And that's just it. I mean, as empaths, we do have this natural healing gift. We have the ability to heal people with our energy and our words. We can make people feel a lot better. And that's always been my goal on here. Is to make people feel better. But above everything else, I want to be authentic. I want to be real. So as you know, I will tell you the truth. Even though it might make you feel worse initially. Because it's better to accept the truth about something and then just go through that pain initially than to just live the rest of your life as a lie. Because that's more painful than anything else. To be suppressed, to be stuck at a lower level of consciousness. Because a high level of consciousness, of course, is acceptance. Accepting reality as it actually is. And that's why I do everything I can to avoid the gaslighting of a narcissist and to not go into denial about anything, and instead to accept things as they actually are. And I know I've spoken about that a lot in past videos, and I wish that it could be different. But we do have to accept the way that the world actually is, rather than how we might want it to be, or how we were told that it is. The reality is that most people are living a lie. They have a fake life. And the only way that they can sustain it is to get other people to go along with it. That's why we see a lot of these influencers and these people on TikTok or Instagram, and they're just pushing this fake life and trying to get everyone to validate it so that it feels more real for them. But I say no to that. I say that no matter how painful it is, let's just accept the state of how things actually are, and then we can move past it. Yes, it may feel painful initially. We may feel fear, we may feel a lot of shame. But that's where it's much better, because then we can heal. And then we can get the fullest experience of our lives. And that's why for me, I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm highly sensitive to certain people and sensations because I'm deeply connected to myself at a very deep level. While these narcissists, they are emotionally numb. They're disconnected from themselves and their emotions. And that's how you get involved with them, and it's like they don't feel anything. They can't connect to you, they can't be vulnerable. And not just the positive things, but they don't have any regard for all of the bad things they do to people as well. Because they're just numb inside and disconnected. himself. And that's how you know which one you are. Because as an empath, you're going to be more sensitive to things. You're going to feel things deeply. With a narcissist, it's just all superficial. Now I am getting a bit hungry. My tummy is rumbling. But I've really enjoyed this talk with you today. Putting out this information, making people more aware, more knowledgeable, but doing it the right way, by giving the real truth, the whole truth, instead of just giving one side of things. It's important to be authentic, because there's nothing more damaging than to be exposed to a false reality. The truth is very important. When you connect to truth, you connect to your authentic self. But if something fake is being reflected back to you, then you disconnect from yourself. That's how it works. And that's why when you come around these narcissists and their fake ass flying monkeys, that's why they seem so fake. Because they've been exposed to falsehoods. And in order for them to interact with that, they had to disconnect from themselves. And it seems that whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you still disconnect from yourself. I don't know why that is. It's interesting, but that is how it is. And many of you may have experienced that in your own life, dealing with narcissists, where you were exposed to something. And even though you didn't have the knowledge at that time, you weren't consciously aware of it, it still disconnected you from yourself at that time, even though you weren't aware of it, because it wasn't true, it wasn't real. It's interesting how that works, but I do believe that we are all connected. But then saying that doesn't really come down to belief, because it's scientifically proven that everything in this universe is connected. But narcissists, how can they connect to us when they're disconnected from themselves? And maybe that's why we can't connect to them, because they just don't have a soul. I know it's getting a bit noisy here. Not sure what that noise is. But I think I will end this video here now and get something to eat. I'm feeling a bit hungry. The sun has gone down and it's going to start getting dark now. But I hope you found this video helpful. If it was beneficial to you, give it a thumbs up down below. Hit the subscribe button and click all notifications so that you will be notified when I go live in the future. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I read your comments every day. Donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. If you would like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also, you can follow me on Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. And there you will see my content that I'm uploading now from my trip last year to Vietnam. And also you can see on my stories that I'm posting my trip here in Bali. So you can see all of that on there. Follow me. It's Narc Survivor YouTube on Instagram. All right, thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video here on a beach in Bali. I appreciate you all, and as always, I will talk to you soon.